The flight began like any other. Families, businessmen and tourists boarded the big passenger jet with excitement in their eyes. For many, it was just another routine journey, but for one young girl named Emily, it was an adventure. At only 12 years old, she loved airplanes and often played flight simulator games at home. She never thought those little games would one day mean the difference between life and death. The plane climbed smoothly into the blue sky. Passengers relaxed, some watching movies, others chatting or napping. Everything seemed normal. But halfway through the flight, something shocking happened. The captain's voice, calm just minutes before, suddenly stopped. Inside the cockpit, both pilots had collapsed without warning. One had a heart attack and the other fainted while trying to respond. The autopilot kept the jet steady, but the crew quickly realized the truth. There was no one left to fly the plane. Panic spread among the passengers when flight attendants whispered the news. "Both pilots are down." Gasps filled the cabin. Children cried and adults clutched their seats. People prayed, thinking it was the end. But fate had other plans. In the middle of the chaos, Emily's curious eyes noticed the open cockpit door. She had seen cockpits only in pictures, and now it was right in front of her. The head stewardess, desperate, asked if anyone had flying experience. No one spoke up. Emily raised her small hand. I've played flight simulator," she said nervously. Some passengers scoffed, others shouted, "She's just a child." But there was no other choice. Emily was led into the cockpit. Her heart pounded so loud she thought everyone could hear it. The controls looked complicated, far beyond her games. But she didn't back down. A flight attendant pressed the radio button and called for help. Moments later, the calm but urgent voice of an air traffic controller answered. "Who's flying the plane?" the controller asked. Emily's soft voice replied, I'll try." There was silence, then a steady response. "All right, young lady, we're with you. Stay calm. Put your hands on the yoke. Do you see the horizon?" Emily nodded, though her hands shook. "Yes, I see it." "Good. Keep the wings level. Don't worry about anything else. Just listen to my voice." Behind her, the crew and passengers held their breath. Some couldn't believe a child was now in control of a massive jet carrying 200 souls. Yet in that moment, Emily felt something change inside her. The fear didn't vanish, but courage started to grow. She knew everyone's life was in her hands, and she couldn't fail. The flight that started as ordinary had turned into a fight for survival. And at the center of it all was a 12-year-old girl who had just taken her first real command. Emily's hands gripped the controls tightly. Sweat ran down her forehead, but she refused to let go. Behind her, silence filled the cabin. 200 passengers depended on a 12-year-old girl, and everyone knew it. The calm voice of the air traffic controller guided her step by step. "You're doing great, Emily. Now check your altitude. You need to slowly bring the plane down." She looked at the gauges, confused at first, but then remembered what she had seen in her simulator games. "Okay, I see it," she replied, her voice trembling but firm. The huge jet began to descend. It shook slightly, and passengers screamed, but Emily kept listening. "Easy, don't pull too hard, smooth movements," the controller said. She followed every instruction with the focus of a seasoned pilot. Her small hands were steady now, guided by something greater than fear, courage. Minutes felt like hours. The ground below was getting closer, and the runway lights finally appeared in the distance. Emily's eyes lit up. "I see it! I see the runway!" she cried. Cheers erupted from the passengers, but the controller reminded her, "Stay calm. The hardest part is landing." The jet roared lower, the engine screaming as Emily carefully aligned the plane. The controller's voice echoed in her ears. "Keep the nose straight. Lower the throttle. Good, good. Now, gently pull back." Everyone held their breath. The wheels hit the runway with a loud thump, bouncing once, twice. Emily bit her lip and pulled back just as she had been told. Then, screech! The plane rolled forward, slowing down. The passengers erupted into shouts, claps, and tears of relief. The jet had landed safely. Emily sat frozen in the cockpit, her heart racing faster than ever before. She had just done the impossible. The flight attendants rushed in, hugging her, their eyes filled with tears. "You saved us," one whispered. When the plane stopped completely, the doors opened to flashing lights and emergency crews. Reporters, police, and paramedics swarmed the scene. The passengers poured out, many kneeling on the ground in gratitude. But everyone pointed to the young girl who had been their savior. Emily stepped out shyly, her face red with embarrassment, but the crowd greeted her with thunderous applause. She wasn't just a child anymore. She was a hero. News of her bravery spread across the world within hours. Headlines read, "12-year-old girl lands passenger jet," and 200 lives saved by child pilot. Back at home, her parents hugged her tightly, unable to believe what their daughter had done. Aviation experts called it a miracle, while pilots praised her quick thinking and calmness. She had turned a terrifying disaster into a story of hope. Emily herself remained humble. When asked how she did it, she simply said, "I just listened and tried my best." And so, the world remembered the day when courage came in the form of a 12-year-old girl who held 200 lives in her hands and landed them safely.